You know what it is. It's NFL draft season, and an NFL draft came and went over the weekend. Shout out to everybody who watched the draft recap. That thing is over 11,000 views. That's to the strength of the Cleveland Browns fan base and how y'all support me over here on the Ultimate Browns. Today, we got a recap for you. We got some great sound and audio from Mike Hall Jr., Zack Zinter. We see a little bit of Andrew Berry talking to Jamari Thrash. And we talk about Nathaniel Watson and why I believe that he could possibly be a sleeper at linebacker for you, for your Cleveland Browns. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you a deep dive into all of these guys to give you much as information as we can. And we're going to do it here in a way that only we can do it here on the Cleveland Browns. It's the Ultimate Browns Show right here on the UCSS Network. We back at it right here on Ultimate Browns. Let's get right off into it, and let's first start by saying the 24/7 line is open. If you want to give your opinion about the Cleveland Browns and your draft picks and what we got going, it is your opportunity to do so. 216-345-4433. Once again, 216-345-4433. 30 seconds. Let me know your name, where you're calling from, and get your opinions heard right here on the Ultimate Browns. Without further ado, let's get right into this thing. You know what it is. Let's talk about Mike Hall Jr. Mike Hall Jr., yes, the Cleveland Browns go select Mike Hall Jr. at pick number 54, round number 2, out of Ohio State. 6'2", 280 pounds, 20 years old, has that linear body that can get up and mess with tackles, and to be able to get a pass rush up the middle at defensive tackle. And that's what the Cleveland Browns, and I'm going to tell you in a second why I think they really went after Mike Hall Jr. But don't listen to me. Listen to what the Cleveland Browns had to say about it, led by Catherine Raish here, talking about what Mike Hall Jr. brings to the Cleveland Browns defense.
I think when you look at how we play the position and how we ask our guys to get off the ball and how athletic they need to be and how quick they need to be, that's what Michael is going to bring to the table. I mean, Jim got on the phone with him, gave him a quiz, and he was ready to roll, and he's about to be the engine of this defense. And I'm not going to use the words that they used, but let's just say mess things up in the in the front there. So I think that's what he's going to bring to the table.
And it's exactly what they're looking for Mike Hall to bring to the table. When you take a look at Mike Hall Jr., here's a guy that is a little undersized for defensive tackles, about 6'3", about 290 pounds, 13 All Big Ten in 2023. He has an active motor, quick twitch mover, functional strength, good reactive hands. He's a fighter. He's a puncher. He's going to get to to attack the offensive guard or the center, whoever he's battling, quicker than they're going to be able to get to him. I think he's going to give you that traditional look and that traditional feel of a Aaron Donald type tweener. Right. And before it was looked at as a bad thing to be a tweener or to be an undersized defensive tackle. But what Aaron Donald has been able to show everybody is that when you have quickness, speed, and agility and quickness off the ball, you can generate a lot of mismatches inside between defensive tackles and the guards. Some of the concerns they have a little bit when you are a little undersized is taking on double teams. You have that undersized frame, and there's a little bit of an injury knack on Hall Jr. And sometimes being undersized can lead to injuries if you're playing in a system where you're being asked to take up double teams. He won't be asked to do that. You have Dalvin Tomlinson to do that. When you take a look at his film, one thing that pops out is the stance, start, get off. As a former defensive lineman, that is the pillar. That is what you want to see. Stance, start, get off. All of those things are going to help you get the punch, get the step and a half that you need on guards to get to an edge and work your move. Yes, fluid and agile lower body to bend and dip around linebackers and offensive line, can stretch cross blockers, face quickness, so he can give you the up and under. He can give you the rip move. And one thing that you want to see is you want a guy that wants to be a quick twitch guy. Hall Jr. is that guy. He's able to use blockers' aggressiveness against them. He's able to bend you one way, come back the other way with athleticism, and it allows him to really work good laterally against outside or inside zone run concepts. So when you take a look what he does best, he's going to be a guy that I project when you look at the Cleveland Browns. I think that what they're trying to do, and Jim Schwartz is doing something a little bit different. He got a little bit different game, a little swag coming for you this year. Last year, go back and watch that Texas games. JOK was the most dominant player on the field. I've said that before. And when you have a guy like Myles Garrett, when you have an edge rusher, there are things you can do to mitigate the damage that an edge rusher can do. Myles Garrett is always getting hit by the tackle. He's going to get the best tackle. He's going to get the tight end over there. They're going to slide the protection over there. They're going to chip with the running back. At the end of the year, when you look at Myles Garrett's production, it's not because he's falling off or his motor isn't running high. It's because he's getting touched every single play. He's getting touched. He's getting hands put on him, and it slows him down. There's one thing that you can't do. When you get in a rush in the A gaps and the B gaps, when you talk about getting a rush up the middle, there is nowhere to go, nowhere to run. Quarterback steps up for Myles Garrett, getting around, running the hoops. Guess what? He runs right into a hall. You know, when you got a guy who can rush in the A gaps and the B gaps, now you can't run away from Myles Garrett. You can't escape outside of him because he's going to do a great job of containing and getting to the quarterback. So now what you got to do is now you got a guy in the middle that's able to pressure you. When you got guys like that, like the Warren Sapps of the world, like the Aaron Donalds of the world, there's nothing more devastating in terms of a pass rush than up the middle. I think what we want to move towards is you got guys like Dalvin Tomlinson. Mo Hurst can give you that pass rush, right? But the problem is Mo Hurst has been injured. Shelby Harris is getting up there. He's been injury prone a little bit. Siaki Ika is more of a nose tackle. He's more of a guy that's going to stop up gaps in the way that Dalvin Tomlinson does it. But when you got a Mike Hall Jr., a guy that is almost as quick as a defensive end, and you're able to put him in the middle and rush. You also got to remember Zadarius Smith is better as a pass rusher over and running in the middle over three techniques as well. You're adding to your pass rush up the middle, and now you can bring in the second wave of JOKs off the edge, bringing Grant Delpit out of the secondary. So to me, this is just the second way, the second look, and the evolutionary step of what Jim Schwartz wants to do, not just rushing from the outsides with guys in your rush-ins, but getting that rush up the middle. And I think that's the next step in which they want to get to with the Cleveland Browns. I think they'll be moving them around, and trust and believe. I've heard people talk about this before we get to our first time out here. I've heard people talking about this, and I think this is false. People saying, oh, these are depth picks, these are depth guys, these are guys that aren't going to play. Listen, in the National Football League, just go back and look at what happened last year. We had Mo Hurst, who had a great season, out for the year. Obo Okoronkwo, guess what? He was out for a long period of time with the pec injury. You take a look at Zadarius Smith was nicked up and banged up. Myles Garrett was nicked up and banged up. When you play in the defensive line, I should know, there ain't no such thing as healthy. You was healthy when you was born. You were born healthy. Other than that, you ain't healthy. You're going to have guys that come in and give you that same level of energy, effort, and be able to have that skill set. So people saying Mike Hall Jr. is a 2 to 3 year down. Listen, that don't happen no more, boys and girls. Ain't no 2 to 3 year plan. It's all about the fierce urgency of the day. And when you talk about defensive line, you always need a bunch of them. We need to stop looking at whether or not we're going to get rid of somebody or whether these guys are going to make the team. This guy, we pick him in the second round. He's going to start playing on pass rush downs because that's going to be his specialty. But don't be surprised if they see him rotating in there throughout the remainder of the regular season and somewhere down the line. With that being said, let's get to our first break of the day. Guess what? We got 4 or 5 other guys to talk about, and then there's another guy from Michigan coming up who I think he might be the future on the offensive line. We'll come back and give you that. It is G. Bush here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Network. You're listening to the Ultimate Browns. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs and even slam dunks. All on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back into the quickest, the fastest 30 minutes in all the sports. It's the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Network. UCSS, shout out to them and all the shows going on. Ultimate Browns. We talked about Mike Hall Jr. Up front. It looks like there was a consensus. Andrew Berry wanted to get solidified up front. He goes defensive tackle. Now, don't get it twisted. I would have liked to see a wide receiver. I'm just me. I'm a wide receiver, but I see what he was doing. I ain't got no problem with it, especially when you can bring in guys like Zack Zinter, guy from Michigan, national champion, and Jim Harbaugh and the Fighting Wolverines. I know OSU people don't get mad. We at least got a Buckeye. We got a Wolverine, but I don't got no problem we can play like this. Check out Zack Zinter, in his own words, in his first day in Cleveland, Ohio, getting drafted by the Browns.
I'm in Ohio, but I'm not too far from Ann Arbor, so you know.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Hello, I'm home, here we go. What's going on, man?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's a good location right here. It's a great location.
Great location. You're on an end.
Yeah. There's a lot of field out here.
Mike Hall here,
What's going on, guys? Zack Zinter.
here in Berea right now. Excited to be a Cleveland Brown right now.
Yeah, man, just excited to meet all you guys in Cleveland. Happy to be here.
As you can see, Zack Zinter, happy to be in Cleveland. We're happy to have you, big fella. And I'll tell you what, listen, the Cleveland Browns continue to put an emphasis on the guard position. You to look at Wyatt Teller, you look at Joe Batonio, those are your leaders up front. He's going to have an opportunity to learn from two of the best in the business. And speaking of business, you know, it just only makes sense, man. If you got two good ones in the pipeline, you want to keep another one in the pipeline ready to go. And I think when you look at the cap issues with the Cleveland Browns, and I didn't say cap issues, they do a good job of spreading the money around. Money ain't a thing. They always go get what they going to get. But you got to reload the cupboards a little bit, right? You got to be able to do that. And when you got guards that are making that much money for the Cleveland Browns, two prolific and high-priced guards, you're going to have to do something in order to get a little younger at that position, get a little cheaper at that position to continue the legacy rolling. But when you talk about Zack Zinter, listen, he's a guy that he's not going to play no games with you. When you take a look at what he brings to the table as we break this thing down for you. 6'6", 309 pounds, senior, 4-year player right now. He a 4-star recruit out of Massachusetts. He was one of the most decorated linemen in the class of 2020. You take a look at this man's accolades. When you're talking about money ain't a thing, when you talk about them accolades, I like guys who play well. I want to see you dominate at the highest level in the Big Ten. I want to see you dominate the highest level in the SEC. And when you talk about Zack Zinter, he comes from pedigree. He comes from a situation where he is a national championship, was named consensus first team all Big Ten player in both 2022 and 2023. So he's not a one-year wonder. He's been about this life, as well as a first-team All-American consensus in 2023, also semifinalist for the Outland Trophy. Let's get into what he does best, right? Let's get into some of the things that I think he really represents himself well, and this is why he is where he is right now as a Cleveland Brown. Now, I will say this, without the broken leg, he did have he suffered that tibia fibia fracture against Ohio State in November. Without that happening, I think he's a first-round pick. But let's talk about what he does up front. And I love offensive line and defensive line talk. You know what we get into. Very good with his hands, pass protection, and run blocking. When you go over this guy, there's a lot of things that he does exceptionally well. There are very few flaws in his game. He is solid across the board when it comes to hand placement, punch, really good feet, does a good job of doing a lot of different things, right? Run blocking and pass blocking. Best thing I like about him, high IQ player, he picks up stunts and blitzes quickly. You're not going to trick this guy on the good old text and twist stunts. Oh, one guy's coming upfield and the other guy's coming underneath. Oh, you didn't know? No, you're not going to get him on that. You're not going to get on that. He's able to pick that up. When the movement happens, he's passing things off. And that's one of the things that you always want to see as an offensive lineman, IQ. Do you know how to establish who you guarding? Do you know where they're going and you know where they're coming from? And can you pass things off? He does a good job at that. Really good hand grip strength. When he puts his hands on you, it's a problem. As a D lineman, he'll tell you never let an offensive lineman put their hands on you, because when they get their hands on you, they don't like to give it up. And if they get it inside the framework of your body, they ain't gonna call that. That's not a hold. Good balance and body control, and he's able to seal defenders in the run game. Now, always I give you pros and cons. A little couple weaknesses. The tibia and fibia, is he all the way recovered? I said this on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I believe that when you're talking about the fractures and breaks, not to say they're not really a big deal, they're a little more. You're able to come back a little quicker from those than you are the ligaments, the ACLs, the Achilles heels, right? The only knock on Zack Zinter is this. He has average athletic ability. He's not a super duper great athlete. He's not a horrible athlete. He's just an average athlete for his position. So that can hurt him a little bit, and a lot of people that hurts his upside a little bit. But it's not like it's something glaring. He's no slouch by any means, stretch of the means, right? And with being just an average athlete, he struggles with quicker defenders moving across his face. So, and necessarily when he's in his pass set, if somebody gives a hard 2 steps upfield, he comes underneath. You may have an issue with that if that person is able to set that move up, because he's not the greatest athlete. But here's the thing. The great thing about that is if he gets his hands on you, and especially playing inside the tackle box, guard to center, if he gets his hands on you, good luck. So he's good. He's a guy that kind of mitigates some of the foot speed stuff with the fact that he has good punch, good long arms, strong hands, right? Scouting places say he's a starting caliber offensive lineman in the NFL. Relatively athletic ability limits his ceiling at the next level. He has good play with his strength, very good base fundamentals give him a role in the NFL as a starting caliber player. And when you look at this and you look at that skill set, that's what you want. You want to replenish some of that. You want to have him sit under Wyatt Teller and Joe Bitonio. And one thing that the Cleveland Browns learned last year was never start counting how many offensive linemen you got. That's why you got Jet Wills back and you signed him for your 5th year. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl, if you're trying to do what Browns teams have not been able to do, you can't afford to do what they did last year, and that's be down to the bottom of your basement when it comes to offensive line play. 2 tackles I thought were coming off the street worthy guys, and Wyatt Teller and Joe Bitonio are banged up all year. Ethan Poaches was out a little bit of time. Now, if you do lose one of those guys, Joe Bitonio or Wyatt Teller, you got a guy that's above replacement. He's better than a guy you're going to get off a practice squad. He's going to be better than a guy you bring off a street. So instead of guys going down and you're devastated, now you have some depth. You have a guy like DeJuan Jones, who I think, according to Joe Thomas, said he's going to start at that position. I agree with him. Jack Conklin is a guy who you've extended and gave a contract to. I didn't like the contract extension, a little bit rich for my blood for a guy with injuries, but is he better than guys coming off the street? Of course he is, right? You give Jet Wills that type of opportunity to earn a 5th year and see if he get a long contract. That's why you extend, you pick up his 5th year. And now you have Teller, you have, a guy like, Zack Zinter that can be behind Teller and Bitonio. You got Luke Whippler, who is the guy who have in your roster who is behind Poaches. So if any one of those guys go down, you got some depth in there, and he fits the mold of what you want to do as a Cleveland Brown. With that being said, let's get to another break. When we come back, It's a couple of dudes that got drafted in day 2, day 3 area that I think could be diamonds in the rough for the Browns. We'll come back and tell you who they are. It's G. Bush here on the Ultimate Browns. I've been told I'm a competitive person. Oh, well, you know, I got a competitive side. I want the ultimate Browns to do better than all the ultimate shows, even though they're brothers and I love them. We all want to be competitive, and that's why I'm a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times, and it's a great twist on Monopoly, where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with my friends. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. But now I can also rob their vaults of riches for myself and Leaderboys show who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. G. Bush with you back, ready to go. It's the fastest 30 minutes in all the sports, and you know what we're doing. Breaking down the 2024 draft, and hold on tight. Before we go, I'm going to give my overall draft grade for the Cleveland Browns, but you got to do the same. Put in the comment section, what do you give the Cleveland Browns overall grade for 2024? Who's your most valuable player? Who do you guys think is going to have the most impact? And are you a little disappointed where they went? We want to know. Put it in the comment section. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Well, there's a couple dudes on day 3 that I think the Cleveland Browns might have hit on. I wanted a receiver earlier. They went with Hall. They went with Zinter. And we were able to get Jamari Thrash, a guy out of Louisville who, by the way, has a little speed. Let's look at what it was like for him to get drafted. You'll see a little bit from Andrew Berry, Jamari Thrash, right here on UCSS Network.
Jamari, how you doing, man? Hey, I know it's been a long weekend, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, listen, we're gonna take you off the board here, man. We enjoyed spending time with you throughout the spring. I think you can play outside, inside. Really looking forward to getting you up here to Cleveland. So we're gonna make you a Cleveland Brown with this pick right here.
All right, appreciate you.
All right, I got our head coach Kevin Stefanski for you. All right, Jamari.
Jamari, congratulations, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks, coach.
You ready to work?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're gonna make you a Cleveland Browns so everybody over there can celebrate. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Jamari, what's up, man?
What's up?
Hey, congratulations, man. I know it's been a long day, but excited to get you here. And like I said, you got a lot of versatility, and can't wait to get you up here and get you in the room with some of the greats we got here already. So congratulations.
Yes, sir. I can't wait.
All right, welcome to the Dog Pound.
I mean, that gotta be it. What a feeling. I almost got chills just looking at it myself. What a feeling. You got an opportunity to come in here and you got the head coach of the football team say, hey, welcome in here. We want to take you off the board. We enjoy you. We appreciate you. And, I think when you watch Jamari Thrash, I think he got a little something to him. Now, I can't get, my brother calls me, he said, he got a little Jarvis in him. I say, Juice Landry. Listen, that's kind of, dang, bro, Bryson, you talking Jarvis Landry already? But even though I might not be ready to go to that length, I thought a lot of people hit me up and said, yo, G. Bush, I like what this guy can do. I like what he does. And here's the thing. Thrash makes up, for some of his deficiencies with the speed that he shows on the field. So that speed can give him an opportunity to have some playmaking ability. So he has an extensive history of stretching the field. He has the ability to find a second gear on some of the deep routes and short routes in space to kind of turn something into nothing. The problem you're going to have with him, and this is a thing, and I think this is the reason why he went from a 5th round pick to possibly he could have been a 3rd round pick or even late 2nd round pick, is that he just does not have the physical ability when he was running his route. So you want him to be more, have better footwork and being able to get in and out of his breaks and then go up for contested catches. And, he lacks a little strength in his upper body. So when he goes up, there's some balls that can get knocked out. But one of the things that you take a look at, when you have some good coaching and around guys like Amari Cooper, around guys like Jerry Jeudy who run good routes, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to run those routes a little bit better and get an opportunity to do so. When you take a look at his production, 2022 at Georgia State, first team all Sun Belt Conference, led the team with 61 receptions, 1,122 receiving yards, 18.4 per catch, 7 receiving touchdowns. He started all 12 games. So, when you see a guy go from Georgia State to Louisville, which he did from 2022 to 2023, you want to see if you can step up and can still consistently keep that level of production up when you're stepping up with your competition. In 2023, second team all ACC, led the team in 63 receptions, 858 yards receiving, 13.66 touchdowns. So you did see he went from 1,100 to about 900 yards, but did make second team all ACC when he jumped from competition. I think what you see in his strengths of his game that the Browns like is he has good footwork early stages of his release. He's smooth and sudden in his release package. You got to have a good release package off the line of scrimmage, especially in with press coverage. He's able to rip off route cuts at tight angles. So he has really good footwork when it comes to ripping off those tight angles when you're running and getting off press coverage. He possesses a second gear mid-route separation, and that's the thing you want to look for. The Browns lack that. When you watch Elijah Moore, when you look at a guy like Amari Cooper, how much separation are you getting at the top of your routes in mid-route separation where a corner is thigh to thigh with you, stride for stride? Can you hit that second gear? He has that second gear. He has above average ball tracking and pace adjustment for deep ball. He could pace the ball pretty well. He can go get it. So I think tracking is another big part of it, whether you're a deep threat or not. He does a nice job of uncovering the quarterback in scramble mode. So when the quarterback is scrambling around looking for him, he does a good job of finding an empty space, coming back to the quarterback, finding an empty space and avoiding the field, and coming back to the quarterback to make the catch. And Deshaun Watson does that a lot. Here's the thing. Sometimes he loses focus when dealing with contact over the middle. So over the middle, he's going over the middle. And then when contact is coming, he can lose focus. He also lets the ball get on him a little bit too quickly, right? You want to be a hands catcher and not a body catcher. When you catch it with your hands, you attack the ball. So you're attacking the ball and you're being proactive. So now when you catch the ball, you can tuck and move. When you let the ball get into your chest, when you let it hit you, or you let the ball get on top of you quickly, that's when you get some of those drops out there that you're going to see. So for me, I think that he's a guy that can potentially help you a little bit. I also think he's a guy that fits a mold. At the late parts of your rounds, you're looking for guys to fit a specific skill set. I think that second gear, that burst, is what the Browns are looking for. Goodwin he had it, but due to the injuries, he was out all year. Anthony Schwartz couldn't catch the football. He had that gear, couldn't get him to rock. He's a guy that I think that you're trying to mold into that position that they use him in space to get some, to stretch the defense and do things like that. Here's another guy. We got a Watson on offense, but let's talk about this Watson on defense, man. There's a Nathaniel Watson. And Nathaniel Watson, I tell you what, the linebacker out of Mississippi State, now this guy, he has the pedigree. Like, he may be a sleeper. He's a guy, when you look at our depth chart, you don't got very many guys. You got the only guy that you really brought in is Devin Bush, who he had a flyer on. You have Tony Fields, who was vying for another position. But right now, J.O.K. and Hicks is the only guys that you really have like a solid linebackers. And so when you look at drafting a guy like Nathaniel Watson, who really, piques my interest, is the fact that he's 6'2", 233 pounds, almost 33-inch arms, and is a Buckus Award winner, right? First team All-SEC 2023, a highly productive off-the-ball linebacker who has good size and length. But the only reason that he is here where he is and getting drafted late in the draft is because He only has overall solid average athleticism with a little bit of limited speed and quickness to make plays at the NFL level. So, linebackers are a funny thing because linebackers could be, one of my favorite undersized linebackers is Zach Thomas, right? Just made the Hall of Fame. There's lots of linebackers who are a little bit undersized or don't have the prototypical speed, but linebacker is a very instinctual position. And sometimes you can get a guy who can be a contributor that does not have eye-popping just in your measurables, right? So some of his strengths are he has good production, good length, good pass rusher, 21 sacks in his time at Mississippi State. I like the caliber of competition he plays. But some of the things that he has issue with is in his run game. Sometimes now linebackers are so athletic that when you got a guy that's coming at you at guard or on zone plays, sometimes you just run around the block. JOK is brilliant at doing it, right? You're just so athletic you could do that. For him, for Nathaniel Watson, he doesn't have the ability to do that. So he takes on blocks. And if you're going to take on a block, you got to do it the right way. You got to be able to keep your outside shoulder free, knock the guy off the ball, and be able to keep the outside shoulder free to make a tackle. He has limited range because he's a limited athlete. And he has problem with the change of direction, and that's the problem with the elite quickness. He's not a twitchy athlete that you see now, but his size can help you out a little bit. He's a well-built linebacker, good size, excellent length, above average athlete. He's pretty decent in coverage. So if he could come in and give you something, if he can come in and give you a little bit something in terms of your of his special teams ability, I think that you may have something that you can use as a guy. Diabate is a guy that's on the roster. I think showed a little bit something last year. His measurables are great. He's more of a natural athlete than Watson, but I like Watson's size. We'll see and keep an eye on him and see if he's able to make the squad. With that being said, time flies when you have a stupendous time, and it's always flying on the Ultimate Brown Show. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button so you know when we got all of our stuff up, and continue to support our other shows. Make sure you want to do that. Continue to support our other shows. As always, every Monday, Ultimate Guardians, right here. Zach Meisel, Adam the Bull, best baseball pod in the game, bar none. Cavaliers is looking terrible right now, but don't worry. Mikey McNuggets and your boy Jason Lloyd will make it entertaining. At least they will with the Ultimate Cast every single Tuesday. And my boy, my guy, my brother for another mother, Earl the Pearl, every Thursday, Ultimate 216 mix of sports and culture, doing a great job over there. And you already know what you're doing with me. It's your boy G Bush. And like you said, you see what the barbershop poll is right there. You see what it is. You never know where I'm going to be. Radio, TV, internet. It's GNN, baby. I'm everywhere. But you always can find out where I'm at. It's simply listen to them Clippers. Have a good evening and go Browns.